I bought the Segway GT1 because I wanted the Segway GT2, but I didn't want to pay for the Segway GT2. I think the best price that I saw on it was maybe 25 to 3 grand, and I wasn't willing to spend that yet. At $1,500, which is what I paid for this, I felt like it was quite the bargain. I had just gotten rid of the KQi3 Max because it didn't have suspension. So I figured the Segway would be the highest quality scooter with the least amount of complaints that I could find online. The main thing that people complain about with the Segway GT1 and GT2 are the specs, but the specs don't tell the whole story. Starting with the handlebars. Most scooters do not have handlebars that are this thick. These are about halfway between bicycle handlebars and motorcycle grips. If I had it my way, these grips would be just a little bit thicker. The material is nice, the diameter is a little bit better than most scooters. I just wish they were a little bit thicker. Also, I wish they were a little less straight across. If we could just get a little more angle, that would be a little nicer on my wrists. You have a very nice looking LCD display. It's bright enough during the day, even in full sunlight in Arizona. I don't really have any complaints on the display. I think it's good to go. The brakes are pretty good. I've had 2 GT1s at this point. On the first GT1, you would barely pull the lever in and you'd get lots of stopping power. They were pretty touchy, in a good way. On this second GT1, you have to pull the brakes a little bit more. There seems to be a little bit of dead space, probably because there's not as much fluid in this set of brakes as there were in the first one, but they are very confidence-inspiring. These things are tip-top in my opinion. The headlight is super bright. It's almost as bright as a car headlight. It's good to go. One thing that I'm noticing on this GT1 versus the first GT1, however, is right in the middle of the beam, there's this artifact where the headlight plastic housing has like print on it. It makes an artifact in the beam so that it's purple. It's still really bright. It still shows you everything you need to on a dark trail. I just wish that they had a little higher quality QC process so that you would have a clean headlight beam instead of this artifact in the middle. Also, I'd like a strobe option on the front. I can understand on cars and motorcycles why you don't want your headlight strobing, but on a personal electric vehicle like a scooter, give me a strobe option. Why not? One of the main weak points on electric scooters across the board is the stem and the stem latch and where the stem meets with the deck. On this, there are no concerns of the stem breaking. This thing is thick with 3 C's. I've never heard of any stem latches breaking. I'm never worried about it coming undone and my handlebars flopping down by mistake. Everybody should look at the Segway GT1 and GT2 for how they should make their stem latches. If you have any Reddit reports of your scooter just snapping in half under speed, go back to the drawing board. You can look at Nami or Apollo or all of the cheaper scooter brands, but those are 2 of the big ones where people are really into it and think that they're quality when their fucking stems are snapping left and right on Reddit. Never mind all the other QC issues that you have with all the scooter companies, not just Nami and Apollo. The GT1 has a very smooth ride. Whether you're going fast or slow, the GT1 is good to go at any speed. A big part of that is because they have enough travel on their suspension to where it can absorb bumps. Another reason is they have these big 11-inch tires. Another reason is because they have like a 5-foot wheelbase. This thing is super long. Something I'm not a fan of are the shocks that they use. These things clunk over every little bump. I have earplugs in and headphones and whatever, so it's not such a big deal to me, but it's a sign of trash. It's just not high quality. I tried to get Segway to send me new shocks. They just kept giving me the runaround and saying, oh, they're not in stock. Oh, are they in stock this week? This week? This week? Every week I'd hit them up. They just kept telling me that they were never in stock. Whenever I got the second GT1, it made the same clunking noise. It's the same exact problem. All the reviews on YouTube, they have the same problem. I think it's something that they just won't fix. I'm pleased with the brake lights. They're pretty bright. I like these running lights also. You can do all these different swag light colors. It'd be nice if they were all up and down the side. I want this thing to be bright as possible because it's fast enough to go on the street. In fact, most of the time, if you're going high speeds, you probably shouldn't be on the sidewalk. Therefore, I want the thing to light up like a Christmas tree. I want cars to have no excuse for not seeing me. As it is, it's pretty good. I give it like an 8 out of 10. I would also like a strobe in the back. Give me a strobe in the front, give me a strobe in the back. Any small personal electric vehicle like this, I want strobes. The deck is very roomy. There's lots of space side to side and front to back. I can adjust my feet all different which way and I never feel like I'm cramped. Especially on long rides, you're gonna wanna adjust your feet every which way. You've got all the space you could ever want. I like scooters that have a lip on the rear, and the Segway has done this excellently. You have this huge ramp at the back to put your foot. The material covering the deck is this rubber, and it's very grippy. It's good to go. It's good to go. I don't really have any complaints. If it were up to me, maybe make it a little bit longer. Make the deck just even a little bit longer. It's already pretty long, so I don't think that they're gonna do that. I think that people already complain about how big the scooter is. The size and weight of this scooter, those are features. Those are not bugs. Those are not downsides. Those are upsides. The reason why this scooter is so smooth is because it's heavy, and because the wheelbase is so long, and because the tires are so big. If it were lightweight, if it were smaller, it wouldn't be as comfortable to ride. That's just how it is. It's not for everybody. Obviously, if you need your scooter to go on a bus or a train, this isn't really going to work. Unless you have some pretty chill conductors and bus drivers, you're not going to be able to fit this on public transit. The battery size that Segway lists on their website is 1,008 watt hours. This is different than every other electric vehicle that I've seen. Everybody else uses amp hours when they're describing the size of their battery. So I think the GT1 has like a 15 amp hour battery. I'm not really sure how to describe it in technical terms, but this is one of the main things that people will complain about on the internet. They will say that the battery is not big enough on the GT1. And I'm not going to disagree. But the thing is, I'm kind of a power user. I will drive this scooter all over, everywhere, places that most people are embarrassed to take a scooter, or they think it's too far, or whatever excuse people make, I will take a scooter there. And the fact is, I have gone all over town, and if I'm not going like full speed, I can get like 2 hours of exploring out of this thing. Go ride your scooter around for 2 hours, and then tell me that you want more. Some of you, yeah, sure. Me, yeah, I want more. But the truth is, the specs, they just don't tell the whole story. If you're gonna complain about the battery size, I just think that I think it's more of a non-issue than people are willing to admit. I think that's probably why Segway put the smaller battery in there, because they know it's just not that big of a deal for most people. If I'm going full speed, which is 37 miles an hour, I can get about 15 miles out of this battery. That's with a 160-pound payload. If I limit it to eco mode, then I can get about 26, 28 miles out of my battery. If I limit the speed to 15 miles an hour, I've gone as far as 38 miles before the battery died. After 38 miles, I'm kind of done riding. I don't really want to ride anymore. Do I wish that they gave us a bigger battery? Yes. Do I think it's as big of an issue as r/electric scooters makes it? Not even close. The fenders are a high point for the Segways for sure. A lot of scooters, if you drive through a puddle, you're gonna get water splashed upon you. But with the Segway, you have huge fenders up front, huge fender in the back. I've gone through some pretty good puddles on the GT1, and I've never gotten my pants wet. The tires are 11-inch tires, and they're good. They're made by CST, they're self-healing, but here's the thing. If you want to go with a different company or a different type of tire, there are no 11-inch tires out on the market. It's only this one cheap brand on Amazon, and then the CST stock tires for Segway. And as good as they are not perfect. I have had a coat hanger stab all the way through and cause a flat tire that the self-healing did not self-heal. When it comes to the Segway 9bot app, it's full-featured enough for me. I can change the lighting effect on the swag lights, the way that the display changes whenever you turn your headlight on. You can change your top speed. You can turn zero start on and off. In comparison to some other apps that I've used, I think the Segway app is so far the best. The top speed on the GT1 is 37 miles an hour. A couple things about this top speed. If you're a heavy boy, it might not get to the top speed. It might say that you're going 39 or 40 miles an hour. It's not. You're not going that fast. It only goes to 37 miles an hour. If you've gotten a GPS reading higher than 37 miles an hour, tell me in the comments down below. As far as acceleration goes, it is exhilarating. I am very pleased with the acceleration. In eco mode, it's kind of, it basically makes the throttle not feel like I feel like it should. I feel like I don't have as much control. It is a bit touchy in sport mode, but once you get used to it, it feels just right. In race mode, it feels a little too touchy. It kind of throws you forward and backwards when you're going on and off the throttle. Sport mode is just right. I'm happy that they went with a twist throttle. I don't like paddle throttles. I don't like trigger throttles. Just give me a twist throttle. You may notice that it's a half throttle, that it's not the full grip. That's because on an electric vehicle, it's very touchy. You can't just have the full grip because you need to be able to let go of the throttle and still have a hold on the grip. Otherwise, you can get that whiskey throttle and it could get away from you. The ride quality is really smooth. You can still feel bumps, but it's not like it's gonna knock you off balance. You can ride one-handed quite easily. In fact, I'm riding one-handed right now, and I can just go super tight circle, super tight circle, super tight circle. If you've watched any of my old FPV videos, you've seen how I will be at a stoplight waiting for it to turn green, and I won't even stop. I'll just go in a circle. I don't think there's any other scooter on the market where you can ride one-handed and go over bumps and just have full confidence that the handlebars aren't gonna get ripped out of your grip. This isn't just on a smooth surface either. Like, watch, I'll go riding all around. All right, let's go in the grass. Let's see how it does in the grass. Big bump. Oh. Oh no, the white balance. Oh, not the white balance. Oh no, not the sprinkler. All right, let's go back over to the basketball court so that I can get away from this horrific white balance. Yeah, you're not doing that on the Apollo City Pro. There's no other scooter that has this level of control. Another thing about the Segway is that it's got a button for its cruise control. This is how every scooter should be. Just like a car, you press the button to turn it on, press the brake to turn it off. It doesn't have a resume feature like a car, which I think that would be better. So this has been a pretty glowing review so far, right? Oh, I should definitely go out and buy a Segway GT1, right, Matt? I might even have some links down there if you do decide to buy a GT1. But I'm gonna tell you, don't buy it, don't do it. Remember when I told you about the coat hanger going all the way through the self-healing layer on the tire? Well, that thing never self-healed, so I needed to get a new tire. Well, the problem is, this thing is built like a cell phone. It is not meant to be maintained. If you go and watch Segway's own YouTube video on changing tires, it's a nightmare. In fact, let's go to past Matt to see how happy he was with the tire changing experience. With the rear tire being flat on the GT1, I ordered new brake pads, new front and rear tire, and I talked with Segway about sending me new front and rear dampers under warranty. I'm sorry to say, the whole thing falls apart once you start talking about changing the rear tire. If you watch the instructional video for changing your rear tire on Segway's YouTube channel, they have you changing the rear tire with the wheel still attached by the cable to the scooter. I already didn't like the look of having to leave the rear tire attached to the scooter, but that's how they did it in the video, so I figured, whatever, let's do it. Well, the first thing is, whenever I took the rear wheel off, the decorative hubcaps covering the axle nut, it was like a 9.5 on one side and an 8.5 on the other side. I had to use a hammer and chisel to get the decorative axle nut covers off. Strike one. Then I got the wheel off, but there wasn't enough slack in the cable to get the thing up onto the deck. No big deal. I'll just take the deck apart a little bit more. So I start taking things apart. I take the whole fucking scooter apart. I get down to the circuit board. I'm like, surely, here is where the journey ends. I'm gonna take the cable off of the circuit board. I'll take this little tire to a tire shop and I'll get a couple dudes to help me change the wheel. Well, take a look right here. You see what that says? Void if removed. You see this cable? Does that look like you can remove that easily? No, that is permanently attached. So you're telling me that my rear motor is permanently attached to my Segway GT1? Dude, that's probably a deal breaker. So after that whole fiasco, I send Segway an email and we get to talking back and forth about what are we gonna do about this. I wanna send this scooter in because there's nobody I can take the scooter to. There's no tire shop that does this. If you call them, they're gonna tell you no, they don't work on it. It took about a month of emailing back and forth before Segway finally sent somebody out to pick up my scooter. And they're just a nightmare. Segway is just a nightmare. They are very responsive. If you call them, somebody answers, that's a plus. They're really nice on the phone, but they're Chinese. They can barely speak English. The people that are emailing you, they can barely speak English. They don't understand. Man, they keep using the word relevant person. Segway, relevant person. That's not a thing we say in English. That it doesn't make any sense. You need to have an American go through and audit the English that your people are using in their emails. But they eventually send the freight company to come pick the scooter up, but they don't even tell the people what they're picking up. They don't tell them that it's in a million pieces. They don't tell them that it's a scooter. They just said it's an electric vehicle. That could be a fucking Tesla. It could be a fucking Tesla that they're picking up. How are they supposed to know how to prepare whenever you don't even tell them, yeah, it's the scooter. Here's the product page. Here's a picture of it. Here's what condition it's in right now. It makes no sense. They didn't even know that they were working for Segway. How much sense does that make? That makes no sense at all. Why wouldn't you give them as much information as you could? So the freight company picks it up. They take it to the only Segway service center in the country, which is in California, and they have it for like a month. And then they just decide that they don't want to put it back together. So they're going to give me a new scooter. Dude. Whenever their own technicians don't feel confident working on this thing, what should that tell you? And listen, I didn't lose one single nut, bolt, screw. I had every single piece that I took off. So it's not like it was missing any parts. They just didn't want to mess with it because it's a nightmare. It's built like your cell phone. What do you do when something breaks on your cell phone? Like the screen breaks on your cell phone. What's the normal thing to do? Throw it out and buy a new one. Trade it in and get a new one. Is that what you want to do with a scooter? You want your scooter to break and then just throw it out? Speaking of cell phones, Samsung. Fuck you, Samsung. So it's there for a month and they tell me, yeah, we're just going to give you a new one. Whatever, fine. Send me a new one. It takes another month before they send a GT1 out. So here I am, 3 months with my scooter down. And this is why this fantasy of thinking that a scooter like a GT1 or a GT2 can replace your car or a motorcycle, that's a fantasy. It can't replace your fucking bicycle, dude. At least with your bicycle, there's bicycle shops that can work on it. And if you're gonna say, oh, well, just learn to work on it yourself. Dude, what kind of logic is that? How can you say that, oh, I should just learn to work on it myself? I don't want to. What if I don't want to? It should be easy enough for a bicycle shop to work on that they're not just turning me away. Every single bicycle shop in the whole city's just turning me away because they know that these things are built like a cell phone. But eventually, I get the new scooter. It's got like a half a mile on it. It's brand new. They said that they were gonna send me a refurbished unit. Nah, dog, this thing was brand new. It shows up and the box is completely destroyed. The scooter was fine, but the box was completely thrashed. It didn't really inspire confidence. So is the Segway GT1 fun? Yeah, it's awesome. Is the acceleration good? Is the top speed good? Is the ride quality good? Yeah, it's great. I feel very safe on this scooter going top speed. But what's it matter if you can't repair it easily? So this is pretty much the best scooter on the market, and I'm gonna tell you, don't waste your money. Oh, and fuck Samsung.